welcome everyone back to our Spotlight interview. This is an exciting one, Gabby. And, we've got the amazing Wendy Papasan with us, who really probably needs no introduction. However, right, for those of them out there who don't know who you are, Wendy, just give us a quick blurb, who you are, where you're from, and then we'll get into the fun topic for today.
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Wendy Papasan. I run the Papasan Properties Group here at Keller Williams in Austin. We also have a couple of other locations in Houston, Texas, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. And yeah, I've been a real estate agent for about 12 years, and I have a couple other businesses that I run. I'm a mom of 2 teenagers and the wife of a busy executive. So
Well,
that's me.
yeah, thanks again for being here because what we want to talk about is one of those other businesses, right? That I don't even know how I saw it show up. Maybe on Facebook it randomly popped up, but I saw what it was, your papasanhomes.com, right? And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. And so if you can just share with us what that company is, how it came about, and then we'll kind of break it down into more detail from there.
Sure. So we've actually pivoted a little bit. The company's been around a couple years, and originally the idea was so about 2 years ago, we made a shift in our real estate business, which was to really build a moat around our database. And so that's where the genesis of the idea came from. And, Gary is talking a lot about sort of these shared services and really helping clients not only buy a home, but help them with their home to kind of fill that gap. Most clients are with us about every 7 to 9 years. And so it's like, how do you stay in touch with people? Of course we do events and Pi Day and things like that, but like some of that stuff always felt weird to me. Like as your business grows, I don't know how to have a conversation with someone about their trip to Disney World or whatever. We have so many clients and I haven't worked with them. And so it always felt sort of awkward, but I thought, well, if we could create a, sort of a home services company where I could have conversations with people about, hey, how's your home doing? Do you need any, your AC is 15 years old now. Do you need help with a referral? I know your roof is 20 years old and in Texas, that means your roof is probably done. So that's kind of the genesis of the idea, was the ability to stay in touch with our clients in a really meaningful way that made sense around real estate. That wasn't just superficially weird. And so our original idea was to do a home maintenance subscription model.
Yep.
And so that's how the company started, which was for a set fee. We would go into somebody's home quarterly, and we would service their air conditioner, we'd clean their gutters out, and at the same time, we'd be collecting information about their home and sharing information about our real estate company. Oh, okay, so it sounds like you need a lot of work done. What's going on? You guys thinking about buying or selling? Well, we're a division of Papasan Properties Group, which is a real estate team here in town. So that's kind of how it started. And we got all the systems set up around that. And that was a huge learning experience, just creating the website and figuring out kind of what people wanted and needed. And honestly, we never really nailed it in terms of what people wanted. We did get some traction.
Because obviously you learned a lot from that, right? As anyone who started that subscription service has. What were some of the things that you learned about it?
Well, we didn't get the what people wanted right. So there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, what a great idea!" But no, I don't really want to do that. So we never really nailed the problem solving. It's like people talk about you'd rather be aspirin than vitamins because aspirin solves a problem and vitamins is kind of just an add-on to people's lives. And so we never really hit that pain point for people.
did you ever figure out what that pain point was? Because clearly people don't do a great job of taking care of their homes, right?
No,
I
they don't.
know I haven't changed my filters in 2 years, right?
Exactly.
I haven't
Yeah.
cleaned my gutters.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I,
Right.
and I would think if someone showed up and said, hey, we'll come out every quarter, do those things, I'd be like, great, let's do it. What you're saying though is they said, yeah, great idea, but we're not going to do it.
We're not going to do it. And we did get some traction. And then when COVID hit and people were slashing their expenses, everybody who had signed up with us basically called us up and fired us. And so that shows we didn't have a stickiness there either.
Got it. Well, let me ask you a question. If COVID didn't hit, do you think that would have continued to grow? And you would have continued to really...
Possibly. There is a company in Austin that does something similar, but they have a massive advertising budget. Like we were really thinking about incubating it out from our real estate team and making that something that we could do. Okay. So what we found when COVID hit was that a lot of people all of a sudden wanted to fix up their home, right? They wanted to do some repair, some remodeling, either to get it on the market and sell it, or just because they wanted more space. They wanted to turn their bedroom into an office or whatever that looked like. So that's when we really pivoted and we moved it into becoming a home repair and remodeling company. And this coincided kind of at the same time as a longtime handyman that we had working with us moved to Colorado. So we basically took over his book of business and then really amped up our like SEO. We advertised in a lot of Central Austin neighborhood newsletters. Okay. And that's really all we did. So those were our three levers, which was just Google, random clients from Google, neighborhoods close in, and then our client base, really.
Yeah, so you're marketing it, like you said, through local newsletters. You did SEO, and then you have your own database that you were marketing it out to. And with your own database, what did that look like? Was it going out as separate emails? Was it part of existing newsletters that you'd send out?
Yeah, sort of both. I did some videos with Brent, who's sort of like the face of the company, which was like, hey, we have this new division to Papasan Properties Group. We'd love to help you, 10% off all services between now and the end of the year. And so we did a lot of promotions around that. And then the newsletters that went out, there's, not every newsletter, but there's information about it there too.
Where did you find most of the business coming from? Of those three sources, right? The newsletter, the SEO, and your database, where did most of the business actually come from?
So originally, and still, about 60% is coming from our database. All right. And that is current clients. So it's make-ready clients. It's buyers who've moved into their house and they need work. And it's past clients who want to take advantage of the services that we offer. And then now, actually about 20% of our business is coming from Google ads. So the guy that I hired to run the business, he actually has a marketing and SEO background in addition to being a good handyman, which was a nice, weird mix of personality. Yeah. And so we got a ton of Google juice. So we, started a Google ad profile. We got reviews on it. I think we have 18 5-star reviews. And the trick with a lot of Google juice right now is to throw content up on there. So on your Google thing. And so Brent made videos. If you look at it, there's videos. And
Google, your Google thing being your actual site or the ads that you're running?
No, we're not running any ads. So okay. It's really just, how you Google yourself and then Google will show you that place.
Yeah, in fact, Erin, I've gone ahead and I've put the website into the chat for those of you who would like to see what it looks like.
We're going to open it up here in a second. But
yeah, so there's the website. And then there's also just like, it's like Google My Business is really what it is. And so that's what's grown for us, because if you think about it, there's not a lot of like professional handymen out there. A lot of times you'll Google it and it'll be like one weird review, no picture. It's like a lot of mom and pop services. There's just not a lot of internet presence. And so that has really helped us a lot because we also have thrown up a lot of pictures, content. Brent's done, little handyman videos on how to do certain things. And so we probably get about 1 lead a day from Google.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I love all the terms. I love, I have to define like Google thing and then Google juice. So
Google juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell I'm super good at that.
All right. So it's going to the database, go to Google, go into the newsletters, right? That's basically from a marketing standpoint, what's happening. Content, of course, is important on the SEO side as well. Yeah. Anything else we should know about how you're getting the word out from an advertising standpoint or marketing?
I just think the neighborhood newsletters have been key because we really wanted to, you could spend, when you have a business like this, you can spend your whole life. The metro area in Austin is huge. So you literally could spend all your time driving from Georgetown to Kyle, that's an hour drive right there. And so we said, let's concentrate in central Austin, which is, this is where the wealthiest people live. And they're the ones like probably most likely to be looking on the internet for handyman. And then these newsletters, what happens is that Brent is out there and he's like, hey, if there's anybody talking on your neighborhood listserv, like let them know about me. And so there's a lot of, I see it on my own neighborhood listserv now where they're like, oh, call Brent, Papasan Homes. He was awesome.
Right. And we're going to get to Brent. We're going to get to Brent and the whole leadership here in a second.
Yeah.
However, going back to database, going back to the current clients you're working with as buyers that, are buying a home and may want to customize it. What does that process look like on the team that we're sharing with those clients as a value proposition? Hey, when you work with us, not only will we sell you a home, we'll also help you customize it as well.
Yeah. So it starts really in the listing presentation, and then it's a part of our contract to close. So as our buyers are closing, really on the sell side, it's on the front end, and then the buyers, it's more on the back end. So it's just part of our kind of like canned email process, which is like, hey, just friendly reminder, if you need any services after you've moved in, here's our sister company, Papasan Homes. We'd love to connect you, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Do you have any data yet on what percentage of the buyers that you're working with then end up using you guys to customize the house they bought?
We don't actually, but that's
okay.
I'm going to write that down. We should know that.
Look, Gabby, I said something great.
Good.
Not as good as Google thing. And then what about on the listings, do you run a concierge program where you're helping people get their homes, in selling condition? And does that run through Papasan Homes or is that separate?
It's kind of a two-stage process. So definitely Papasan Homes comes out, they can give an estimate. And, sometimes they don't win because we're not the cheapest out there. And that's fine. So they'll go out and we're just better at bidding on some things than others. And then we've really kind of from there, we moved on to a little bit bigger projects. So I also have a lot of rental properties. So it just helps me kind of personally with my rentals. So it takes that pain away from me. Cause I don't know about you guys, but it is just tough to find good people right now.
Zillow clearly is having a problem with it too, right?
Yeah. So people are pretty grateful to have someone that they know and trust. And it's just like one less thing for people to hassle with. It's like, we're going to get someone to come out and fix your repairs. Then we're going to send the stager out and then we're going to send the photographer out. And so it's like, boom, boom, boom.
So then
nailed it too, Wendy, just to add to that, Aaron, because some people are not about getting the cheapest bang for their buck. They're looking for the easy button. And that is something that the division
and that is what we provide. And also, it's like, us and trust us. And so we're going to stand behind what we do. So
on the buyers that the team is working with, if they, let's say, refer them over to Papasan Homes, is there any incentive for the agents on the team to refer them to Papasan Homes?
Nope, not really.
Is that anything that you guys have thought about or looked at?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of, we're all part of the team,
All right. So from a leadership standpoint, you've got Brent, who's clearly a dynamo on SEO and as a handyman, right? So what does that look like as far as what he does and what he's responsible for?
Well, so he's kind of taken the ball and run with it. We have We have a bookkeeper that gives us a monthly P&L. So we have that. And then our operations team will provide some support for him too. So the ops team will help follow up with invoices, but he does it all. He takes the calls, he goes out, he meets with the customers, and that's definitely his strength is the customer management.
Right.
And he's actually about to move on. So he's moving to Reno. He just had a baby and they're about to move and be closer to family. And so now we're looking for someone who can really.
By the way, anyone who's in Reno, you're.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
There you go.
And he's just a great person. And he did all that, arguably, especially last year when I was really focused on the real estate team, honestly. I'll be the first to admit it. I did not put as much time and effort in as I would have liked to.
Yeah. So outside of Brent, is there anyone else on staff? Do you have any other trade services on staff, or is there a vision as you guys grow to bring that all in-house?
Yeah, we have a handyman that does kind of the smaller jobs for Brent now. So he can go out and, we pay him like $25 an hour and we charge $100 an hour, honestly, for that.
Okay.
And then, my executive assistant will help with some things. So she's going through and contacting all of our past clients and asking them for reviews. Just like, hey, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Would you do this Google review for us? And
so you don't have. So you don't have any other than Brent. You don't have any other trade service and have handyman. So it's Brent and one handyman is who you have.
And we have our, obviously we have our very strong vendor relationships that we had before Brent came on, and we utilized them. So Brent is acting like the general contractor, and he's coordinating the plumber and the cabinet maker and the countertop, or, all that kind of stuff. Like he's really functioning as the general contractor.
Yeah. And in terms of the subs that you guys use, those vendors, obviously everyone's having challenges around timing, right? They're all busy. They all have more work than they can do. Do they know that, hey, when Papasan Homes calls, we're putting them ahead?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's so great to have relationships with vendors like that, because in times like these, we actually, our plumber will actually pick up the phone and take our call and schedule someone, as opposed to what's happening for most people now. It's like, it's just impossible to find anyone.
Yep.
In addition to Papasan Home Services, Erin, think of it almost like a Wendy's list, because you can trust that those are going to be individuals that are going to pick up the phone and return calls.
Yeah, and that was a result, though, of relationships that you have had already. So the trust was there. I wasn't sure if there was any newer relationships such that, because I know some people have toyed around with, hey, if we give a plumber a certain retainer, if we don't have a strong relationship yet, but we say, hey, let's just pay them a retainer each month such that when we call, they come quickly. Yeah. You're basically doing it because you've already had the relationships.
Yeah. And that is our vision. I mean, it would be great to have to be able to have a company like that that's really working full time for our clients. And
the vision being bringing them in-house.
Bringing them in-house. Yeah. Or just having that, hey, we have an official relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're sending you lots and lots of referrals.
Right.
And I mean, my vision for it also has been so many of these little mom and pop companies, they do really good work, but they don't have any of the kind of any way to almost bring them into the 21st century. Yeah. They don't necessarily have a great website. They're not on Google My Business. And we're in such a tech savvy town in Austin, Texas, that's essential here. We had a long-term inspector that we used, and they didn't have an online scheduling thing. And we just had to drop them because our clients are all young, tech savvy, people. And they're like, I'm not going to pick up the phone and have to play phone tag with someone to schedule something. That doesn't work.
Yeah. And then
helping businesses get there was also kind of a vision.
Got it. And I know a lot of people have licensing questions, and every state is different. However, for you guys in Texas to open a construction / remodel / handyman company, was there any master licensing that you needed, or you're just able to open it?
No, there's not. I mean, Brent was in the process of getting his contracting license. I would say you want to talk to a lawyer. So there's, certain protocols that need to be signed, liability waivers, and then make sure you talk to your insurance agent about insurance.
Now, for the scope of projects, I know obviously you talked about Brent as a handyman, right? You pay him 25. Obviously, for any work he does, you bill the client 100, right? For those larger jobs, though, if someone moves into a house and they want paint, carpet, fixtures, and it's going to be, let's say, the trades come and bid at 8,000. What do you guys typically charge from a project management fee, or how does that structure work for you guys?
Well, with everything built in, we try to have a 50% margin on everything. So if something costs us $10,000, we're going to charge $15,000, and that's a lot more than like what you typically think of as a GC, who's charging 20 to 25%. But in order to really be profitable, that's what we've had to bake in, and we've just learned that over time. I mean, this year is going to be a break-even year for us. I mean, we haven't really made any money this year. We're going to look up, and it's going to be a break-even year, and that's just because we're learning as we go and doing less little jobs and more of these bigger jobs where we can bake in more profit. And so we've got a job now where it's a full-on remodel, where we're basically doing an addition. And it's actually for one of our rental properties. So I'm kind of the guinea pig, and it's been awesome. Surprisingly, it's like one of the best remodels I've ever done, which is so surprising.
It's easy when you're the client. And we'll go. I'm curious about the expenses in a second, but what would you say the most frequent jobs that you guys are doing right now?
It's remodeling. Yeah, those are really the ones that are the most profitable for us. The other things that are super profitable are things like decks, like doing decks, things like insulation, right? That we can do a good markup on it. We do a lot of painting, right? There's a good markup on painting because our painters are really good. But then really when we can go in and be the coordinator for a small remodel, and the thing is,
small remodel being what? A bathroom, a kitchen?
Like a bathroom, a kitchen. Yeah. And that's what we tell our sellers too, is like, hey, you might want to remodel this bathroom before you put it on the market. Even in our hot market, it can make sense. And that's where we're finding our best profit.
Okay. And then, for expenses, because you said, obviously you're running 50% margin, right? Which is great. And yet we're going to have a break-even year. So, outside of Brent, what are the expenses that you're seeing in the business?
It's really Brent, we're paying him a salary. And the way we're structuring the compensation for the new person, it's not going to be just a salary job. There's going to be a base plus commission.
Okay.
And honestly, it's just getting enough leads to make it work.
Okay.
He's not out probably, and then getting the systems in place. It's like Brent has spent a lot of time. How do we give an estimate that's accurate, right? Where we don't have to spend like 3 hours trying to figure out how to estimate something. And that's honestly not Brent's strong point. And the person that we're bringing in next has worked systems at a much larger scale. And Brent's strong point is really customer management, which has been awesome.
So for the compensation model you're going to, right? Because obviously Brent is leaving, so whatever his salary it is, what would be the base salary and the commission model that you're going to move for this next person? Mm-hmm. If you don't mind sharing.
No, I don't mind sharing. So this person that we're hiring is a leader in another company, and they make a lot of money. They make $150,000. And this is actually a past client of ours that I've known for several years. We've been talking about this for probably over a year, actually. And so he's going to come in, and his dream is to really run a company like this, right? And so we're trying to structure it so, at the same time, I've been the one that's been bootstrapping it for the last 2 years. Like, I built this up to this point, so there's value there. So I'm not just going to become a 50-50 partner with him. And so what we're talking about is something like profits interest, right? Which is kind of like ownership, but not really giving him ownership at first. So after a certain profit level, we'll split the profit 50-50 and then have like a 3-year vesting period. So in 3 years, he can look up and he can have actual ownership in the property, in the company. I know this guy, but he's not my BFF or anything like that. So that hopefully protects me from turning over half the company, which I spent the last 2 years building. And then he has the opportunity also to, as he grows the company, because he is going to be in charge of growth, he gets rewarded for it. So like a lower base pay and then profits interest. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Because everyone will want to know, like, what would be the starting base? And then you said about a 50-50 profit share.
We're paying him $65,000.
Okay.
He makes $150,000 in his job now, and he wants to get to that point.
Right.
So the rest of that income that's up to him.
Yeah.
That's really up to him.
Okay, got it. So
if he's the right person, that will happen. And if he's not the right person, I mean, I'll know that within 90 days. And
Yeah. Point is though, it's going to be 65 base, 50-50 profit share, 3-year vesting, and then he'll have ownership.
That's what we've talked about. I mean, we don't have anything in writing, and I'm trying to figure it all out because I've found out that you can't do profits interests and be a W-2 employee. So talking to my lawyer, so he's going to have to like kind of get guaranteed profit from the business. It's weird the way it's structured.
Also, a reminder though,
I want a consultant attorney for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV.
No, that's all right. That's all right. But all right. Going back to, you had mentioned obviously bidding projects, right? And obviously as you guys are getting better and more efficient, it's becoming easier. Are you guys using any software, any construction management software that's consumer facing?
No, but we need to. That'll be one of the things that Dylan hopefully does for us.
Got it. Were there any that you were looking at?
I know that Brent has probably looked at some, but I don't think he's using anything currently. No.
Okay, got it. So what I want to do real quick is I just want to show, obviously, hopefully everyone's already gone on the site, but I just want to bring it up because I love this site. I think it was awesome, right? And so this is the Papasan Homes website, right? Professional construction and remodel company based in Austin, Texas. And then I love, by the way, your tagline, let us help you get your weekends back. Who thought of that? That was awesome.
Well, that was me.
Was that you?
Aaron. Yeah.
Awesome. So love that. And then what I loved even more is when you go to the landlord tab, we make rental repairs easy so you deal with less, talk to us about your rental properties. Now, are you guys I know you guys have properties, your own. However, are you in the property management business? Because it seems like a launching pad right here.
No, I've talked about it for so long because we have so many properties, but it just seems like sort of a horrible business to be in. I hate to say that, but the reason that this page is here, in all honesty, is that when we were doing our subscription, that was one of the groups that we targeted, which was, we thought it made perfect sense for especially out-of-state landlord. And we actually did some mailings to out-of-state landlords, which said, hey, we'd love to come in, do a walkthrough of your property. And the idea is then we'd build a relationship with them and hopefully get that listing, when they wanted to sell.
Yeah, because and I didn't realize that you actually started with the preventive maintenance or that program. However, you clearly have it here, prevent problems before they start.
Right,
And
exactly.
so
So that's a holdover from that.
yeah, because my thought was, wow, that's a great launching pad into it. However, you were there and then pivoted to
Right, exactly.
this. Do you think that you'll go back to that model?
I don't think so. No, I mean, we were really hoping to have, when you're in the real estate business and you're looking at your income, right? And you're looking 30 days out and you're like, shoot, I have no income booked for next month because of our cycle. It was the idea of having like a subscription based business where you just have predictable income flowing in every month was so appealing.
Mhm.
But it's a very, very different business model that is going to require a lot more money and effort and time around marketing.
Okay.
So it's like getting lots and lots of people through your funnel. Our client base just isn't enough.
Got it. Got it. All right. So what are some of, going back to the remodel handyman construction business, what were some of the biggest, pitfalls or mistakes that you made along the way that if someone's going to start this, they should know about?
I think understanding, I don't think we charged enough at first. So understanding that you really need to have not like a 30% markup, but like a 50% markup on everything.
Mhm.
Our expenses are relatively low, but we still got to cover that. And then I think we could still do a better job of, and I've just hired someone to help with this integration, a better job of integrating the two companies and making them more synergistic in that the lead flow is going both ways. So, the majority of the leads for this business are coming from the real estate team.
Yeah.
And the goal has always been to have a lead flow back and forth. And so like figuring out how to do that. And now we have enough clients with the home services that the goal is to start a newsletter.
Mhm.
Right. And then in that newsletter, we're sending out tips about maintaining your home and content like that.
Because you said earlier that 60% of your business was database, but then the other 40%, it was basically split 20% from Google, the Google thing, and then 20% from newsletters. So that's 40% who were not past clients of yours, who now, as you market to them, could become real estate clients.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's always been the goal, is to have that kind of that synergy loop. And the goal is for PHS to be sending more leads to the real estate team, because honestly, it's not, when I model it out, it's not ever going to be lucrative in the same way that the real estate team is. It's just that the margins aren't there. And
and yet though,
and the value comes from supporting the real estate team. So it is like a division of Papasan Properties that's funneling leads, staying in touch, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, well, and you're becoming the one-stop shop for everything, right? Because Gary's made it very clear that the real estate future is going to be one where we're diversifying our income as we see commission compression.
Right.
So, exactly. This is just one more area where, we're becoming the Zillow 360 platform, right? Because I'm of the belief that it's just a matter of time before they add this to their platform as well.
100%.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
And so if we're not in this space, then a buyer's going to look at Zillow and say, hey, well, Zillow's not only going to help me buy the home, they're going to help me make it the way I want it. Why would I go with a traditional agent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the nice thing is, we're over 90% business by referral now. And that's pretty different than the way we were 3 years ago. And what's great about that is we are, it's just a much easier business to be in, honestly. Yeah. It's just, and I know I have total control over that. I've never spent a dime on Zillow. We don't do any, Google AdWords anymore. Like all of that stuff has disappeared, and it's a slow slog. It's not sexy to do your business that way. You don't get massive growth that way year over year. I mean, for so many years I had 50% growth, 200% growth, double, triple, and you can do all that in other ways. And then when you really hammer down on your database. It's a slow grind. Like every time I get on the phone with Gabby, we're like, work the plan, work the plan, work the plan. But I'm like, the plan is boring. The plan is boring. Work the plan, work the plan.
There you go. So all right, before we go to the questions, and by the way, guys, if you have questions, put them in the chat box because we are going to go there next. What have we not asked you, Wendy, that we should be asking you, or what should we know about this that we haven't talked about yet?
I would just say, you want to be concerned with the liability. And, I'm a super optimist, but I'm married to a pretty skeptical person. And my coach is really skeptical too, which is why I like her. And so just make sure you do your due diligence around that. Spend the money up front, talk to a lawyer, talk to an insurance company so that you get protected, because this is a pretty litigious industry, and
we're already in one of the most, so yes. So it's kind of a natural fit to go.
As another layer. And then just be careful about the subs that you're getting into business with, because ideally your subs are going to have their own insurance, right? So that if anything happens, you're really going back to them, and they're the ones that are taking care of some of those problems.
Got it. So some of the questions, obviously for Papasan Homes, do you have any sort of branded vehicle that's out there cruising around Austin?
No, but we're about to. So we originally...
What are we getting?
Well, we were... Jay got this Bronco.
I was gonna say, I work for Jay's car. Yeah.
The Bronco has been delayed for 18 months. Yeah. So my husband's car, he was supposed to give it to my son 18 months ago, but the Bronco's been delayed. So we just got the Bronco, which means my son's car. So we bought a car through the company, a little pickup truck that my son has been driving around. And so now that we've got the Bronco, that'll all be happening. And so we're in the process of getting that wrapped. So it can be an advertisement. It'll have Papasan Properties on one side. And then we're in the process of getting a kind of a mega agent office. And so it'll just be parked outside our office in the driveway and kind of promoting us that way.
Got it. And you know what? I didn't even look at, because you have and maybe more, but you have Papasan Properties, which is your real estate site. And then you have Papasan Homes, which is the remodel site, right?
And we're about to redo our website so that we can have some, so it's really more connected. So
okay, because I was going to ask, because I don't know that I saw Papasan Properties on the Papasan Homes.
No,
I didn't look on the other one to see if vice versa.
It's really not, and so we're in the process of getting our website redone, and that's one of the changes that we're going to make. So.
Got it. And then someone wants to know, as far as the jobs that you're bidding, do you know what your ratio is on bids to projects done or completed?
Our conversion rate's about 65%. So about 65% of the jobs that are the appointments that Brent goes on, he ends up getting. And of the 35, it's just people looking for somebody super cheap, Yeah. And the nice thing is he's because of COVID, we actually got into this practice of bidding from Zoom. Sounds kind of weird, but a lot of the smaller jobs, Brent will just be like, walk me through, tell me what you need, and people are like, that's great. I don't have to spend all this time with a stranger in my house.
That's a great nugget.
And so that's helped with some of the efficiencies too.
Got it.
I'm thinking that's also a great value add, because some people don't want to be at home to wait for, the person to show up. And that way, I imagine it gives you so much more variety and flexibility when you can actually schedule the appointment.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And then as far as capacity issues, have you hit any capacity issues yet, or not quite?
Sometimes. So Brent has a handyman that works for him part-time. And he's the one that's going out and doing those like $25 an hour jobs. He's definitely not full-time yet. I mean, ideally we could get somebody going out full-time and kind of doing that. But we don't have anyone we just don't need anyone like that. I mean, there are some things like it's the billing process feels kind of messy right now. So
okay.
It's a typical startup.
Here's another question. Do you guys offer any financing, right? For the people that are doing this post-purchase, or even in the beginning, right? Are you offering, so if it's post-purchase, you'd be offering, financing. And then on the concierge program, are you fronting money?
Mm-hmm. No, we've actually done that for a few clients where we have like before this company, but that's a good aha for me, Aaron.
Hey, that was two, Gabby.
That's
In
two.
case you're keeping score, I said two great things, two great takeaways for Wendy. Because I know, look, on the concierge side, I know a lot of people are in the model where if the seller doesn't have the money, they'll front it and obviously take it at closing. Mm-hmm. And then obviously on the post-purchase side, if they don't have the money, if we had a financing piece in place, or if there was, a company we could partner with to provide that, which becomes another profit center for us, I think that would be really interesting as well.
It's super brilliant.
Because, well, I mean, and by the way, if you haven't been on the Keller Offers site in a while, and Wendy, you might know more about this than I do, because I just randomly saw it the other day. They are offering that.
They do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, and again, I don't know what markets they're doing it in yet. I don't know. I'm assuming they're doing
Austin.
It in Austin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because they're basically doing 12 months same as cash, and then they're doing, I think, a 3-year, 6-year, 9-year option, something like that, ranging from anywhere from 6 to 12%, which is not as cheap as a HELOC, but cheaper than a credit card.
Yep.
All right. So you guys haven't played with that yet.
We've looked into it. It's hard to get sort of like, I know one agent on our team signed up for it, did the training. We've heard some things about it. All
right. It's there. For anyone who's wondering, it's there. I don't know much about it yet either, but I stumbled on it. So, all right, Gabby, what else? What should we ask before we wrap up that we haven't got to on this? Or any questions, put them in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the chat box to make sure we haven't missed anybody. So yes, this is recorded today, and you'll be able to listen to it through the recordings we will post in our executive client database. You're going to get that via email. You're going to see it on social media. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions after this great time with Wendy today, then feel free to reach out to her. She is social on social media. Facebook, is that your preferred way of communication?
Instagram's probably the best way.
Instagram.
I'm
perfect.
At Wendy Papasan. Yeah, I have a weird name, so I'm easy to find.
All right, there you have it. So, Wendy, any final parting words?
I just would say, lean into some of the things that you're already doing and create a business model around it, because I really do. I'm lockstep with Gary in this idea of building a big moat around your database, and that looks like shared services, and whether it's property management or home maintenance or, even just loaning power washers and stuff out to your clients, that all that makes so much sense. And for me, it makes so much more sense than even giving your clients like a pie on Pie Day. It just makes sense.
And I'll tag on to that, because the reason why I wanted to talk to you and why I love what you're doing is because if we're not in this space, Zillow will be, Open Door will be, and you're going to become extinct, right? If we're not living in that post-transaction world, right? Remember when Gary last year, pre-transaction, transaction, post-transaction? If we're not in that space, they will be very quickly.
Yeah, and there's no reason you shouldn't be. It's like at the end of the day, if you can build one business and create systems and make it profitable, you can do it with another business. That's so right. It's just finding that right person to partner with, and then making sure you've got the right services, you're charging right, and that part's messy. We're in the process of completely figuring that out, and hopefully getting this next person who can help us scale a little bit.
Well, I hope that, the audience can also hear today that Wendy mentioned the stickiness earlier, right? There are two sides of the stickiness. It was the stickiness that we needed to find for her database to respond and engage. And that was this business and how this has evolved. And at the same time, this was also a stickiness that Wendy had. Because you may have heard her say a couple of times, giving pies away, not my favorite thing to do. And if you have, I think it's really important for a business owner to identify that if you're already going through the hassle of starting a new business and going through the time and energy to start that from the ground up, that you really find your stickiness too.
Agreed. Yes. And it's not like I have anything against Pi Day. I think Pi Day is great and it's awesome. It's just this in people's minds, it's like people who used to send out the recipe cards, right, in their neighborhood. Like, to me, that's just a big disconnect. It's like, I am a financial consultant who can help you with your home. And this business aligns with that perfectly.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being an open book, sharing with us, what you've been building. And I look forward to seeing where it goes. because you're just at the beginning of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. And thanks for the tips, Aaron.
Cool. Thank you. So thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Gabby. And thanks for everyone for being on here. The recording will be out shortly. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, Wendy.